Hey, good morning, Lighthouse. Hey, before we jump into the Proverbs, couple things for you. The Annie Armstrong Easter offering is upon us, and if you want to donate to that, that supports the North American Mission Board and their effort in training church planters and sustaining local pastors and that sort of thing. We are not going to be able to take that offering for sure on the 5th, maybe on the 12th. Hopefully we'll be back in church by then. But if you want to give to that, we will send a link in the This Week at Lighthouse email that comes out to you. And so look for that there, or also you can just hop on North American Mission Board's website and donate there. Hey, keep the questions coming to questions@lighthousebaptist.net. If you want to, if you have a question about theology or about the Bible or about culture or about anything where our faith meets life, please ask it and we'll try to have the best conversation we can. All right, let's dig in and gain some wisdom. Before I even put us in the mindset and talk about what we learned last week in Proverbs 1 and the first part of Proverbs 2, let me ask you this question. What's your best advice for living the best life? If somebody was to come to you and say, I want to live a life where I don't regret things. I want to live a life where I have adventure. I don't want to live a boring life, but I do want to live a secure life. I want to live a life where I have peace and where I have security in my heart, where I'm not worried all the time. I would like to live a life where I feel guarded, where, I can really be myself and feel safe and secure. What's your best advice? Would it be, you got to start investing and you got to start early. Building that portfolio is the only way to live securely for your whole life. Or would the advice be more like, well, you got to marry the right person. Like, it's just all about who you marry, and finding that life partner is the most important thing. Or maybe it would have something more to do with religion. Well, get in church and be sure if the doors are open at church, you're there, or whatever that is. Or maybe it would be more like, hey, learn a hobby that is enjoyable for you and feeds your soul. And those are all fine. It's all good advice. But the scriptures have more for us. And you know that. You remember last week as we got going in Proverbs 1 and it kind of started with, look, guys, the fear of the Lord is the beginning, not the end, not the completion of wisdom. That's not all there is. But it starts with understanding, oh, God, I see you for who you really are. I see me for who I really am. And I'm getting wiser just knowing that it's a good idea to submit to you, to have that, basic fear of the Lord is a good thing. And then, it went on, this first book of Proverbs, and especially the first section in chapter 2 went on to say, look, if you want wisdom, you're going to have to try. You're going to have to put your back into it. You're going to have to seek wisdom like buried treasure. It said, do you seek it like silver? Do you search for it like buried treasure? That's why I think it's important to understand wisdom as skill, not just in some ethereal, something you just wake up better at. We don't think about other skills in that way. If you want to learn an instrument, you wouldn't just have somebody put a guitar in your hand and say, put your left hand here and your right hand here and do this and put your fingers on the frets here. And you wouldn't expect to go, oh, now that I know that, I'm excellent. I sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. No, you wouldn't think that. You would say, oh, this knowledge plus applying myself to that knowledge over and over and over. If I seek musicianship like silver, if I search for it like buried treasure, then I think I'll grow in that skill. Or if you wanted to learn to fish, you don't just somebody hands you a pole and points you to the water and says, hey, here's where you put the hook, here's where you put the bait, go nuts and reel it in when you feel something tug. Now, it's that basic knowledge, but then there's also the day in, day out skill of going fishing all the time until there's all those little nuanced things you pick up on and you become a better fisherman. If you were going to try to build muscles, you wouldn't just go to the gym and go, okay, I think I get it. I see, yeah, I can pick up heavy things and I'll pick up the heaviest thing I can pick up and then go home and go, hey, I did that. Or I did that. And so I would expect to wake up fully formed, yoked and ready to go. No, you'd say, no, that doesn't make sense. If you're going to gain anything, if there's going to be skill that you're growing in any category, whether it's intellectual or physical or emotional, you're going to have to seek for it. You're going to have to put your back into it. It's going to have to be something you try to do over and over and over. And wisdom is like that. Seek it like silver, search for it like hidden treasure. And then we're going to pick up in Proverbs 2 and verse 6. And verse 6 says this. So the first 5 verses have said, search for it like crazy. Verse 5 has said, then you will understand the fear of the Lord. You'll understand what knowledge of God means. And then verse 6 tells us why all that makes sense. It says, for the Lord gives wisdom. Hey guys, the Lord gives wisdom. That doesn't mean there's not wisdom other places. Maybe you had a really wise grandpa, or maybe you've worked for people that you thought, oh, what a great mentor. They were full of wisdom. Or maybe you just know somebody who naturally kind of knows how to navigate life and you think they're naturally very wise. That's fine. It's all appropriate to surround yourself with people who give good advice and seem to have some natural wisdom. But I'll tell you what, if you want the kind of wisdom that sustains life, it's going to come from God. The Lord gives wisdom. Kind of built into that idea of the Lord gives wisdom is the idea of, and that's the source for all wisdom. As we look for wisdom any other place, we're going to find that although maybe there is some wisdom in life under the sun, eventually it's going to run out. Eventually we're going to get to the point where we go, even this great skill was not enough to give me security, happiness, peace in my heart long term. That kind of wisdom comes from God and God alone. For he stores, verse 7 says, for he stores up sound wisdom for the upright. Think of that. So for the upright person, there is a storehouse of wisdom. There's not a lack of it. Like God's got plenty of wisdom. He is the source of wisdom. It's like asking if the sky is going to run out of rain. It's just not. Like there's never going to be a point where like the ocean isn't wet. Like God's wisdom is available and it is never ending. For the upright person, for the person seeking wisdom, man, there's a never-ending supply. He stores it up for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity. That shield is a defensive thing, right? Like something that keeps you safe. Walking in integrity keeps you safe. Look, if all we were to do is walk in integrity, and we talked about integrity a lot in the Sunday sermon, but if you let your yes be yes and your no be no, if you just have that simplicity of integrity in Christ, if the only point of that was God told you to, then there might be some argument as far as like, well, maybe God shouldn't be able to tell you what to do. But here's the truth is that that's the best life. The practical side of it is God is a shield for those who walk in integrity. And I love this too. Those who walk in integrity and God is a shield. There's this interaction of what we do and what God does. As we walk in integrity, God is our shield. As we walk in foolishness and we go, why isn't God our shield? Why is God letting my heart be laid bare? You go, well, you weren't walking in integrity. And it's not that God is saying, oh, well, you didn't walk in integrity and so I'm not going to protect you. But it's just, this is the way things are supposed to work, is as we walk in wisdom, as we walk in integrity, we find that God is our shield. These two things work together in our life to keep us happy, to protect us. Verse 8 says, guarding the paths of justice and watching over the way of his saints. That God, again, is guarding the path. We all want justice for us. Well, as you seek wisdom, as you walk in integrity, you're going to find God guiding you in that way. Verse 9, then you will understand righteousness and justice. Again, righteousness is like being in right relationship with God. Justice is like understanding God's justice for the world, and equity and every good path. Like this is basically just like, you're going to understand the best way to live. Right living is going to come pretty naturally as you walk in this integrity, as you seek wisdom. I love verse 10. It says, for wisdom will come into your heart. That's what we want, right? And that's what we kind of go, oh yeah, no, James said if any of us lacks wisdom, we should ask God and he'll give freely to us. Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, we would all say amen to that. Absolutely. And verse 10 here says, for wisdom will come into your heart and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Like you're not going to feel like being dumb, like the right thing is going to sound like the right thing. And that's the thing when you're immature, when you're first, when you're not walking with Christ or in those first moments of walking with Christ and you go, sometimes the dumb thing sounds right when we follow our heart, right? As I'm just following my heart. Sometimes I'm prone to make a pretty bad decision. This says, but wisdom will come into your heart and knowledge will be pleasant for your soul. Just the right thing will sound like the right thing. But don't take this verse out from the first 9 verses in this chapter. It's as you seek wisdom like silver, as you continue to pursue godly wisdom, as you search for it, put your back into it, try, put effort into being wise, into seeking God. It takes time, it takes energy. And as you seek him with that kind of fervency, then the right thing will start sounding like the right thing. Verse 11 says, discretion will watch over you. Understanding will guard you. Again, this just interaction of God allowing you to make good decisions, causing you to make good decisions, watching over you because you are walking closely with him. Delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech. Like seeking godly wisdom guards you from evil men. And, the truth is not always in a physical sense and not always in a financial sense and not always in an even emotional sense, but that core of you will be guarded, will be protected. Who forsake the paths of righteousness to walk in the ways of darkness. Verse 13 says, who rejoice in evil doing and delight in the perverseness of evil. I love just the acknowledgement that these kind of men are out there. And we all know them. And they think they're wise too. And they have a lot of wisdom or, earthly wisdom that they want to spout, or they have a lot of advice to give. And some of it sounds right, and so this encouragement to say you know what, you're going to be protected from guys like that. If you will simply walk, seek, try, God will protect you. God will guard you. God will defend you. God will guide you. We'll go to verse 16 tomorrow. But I guess the question is, again, what's the best life? What's the safest life? There's so much earthly wisdom out there. You've been hearing it your whole life. This is how to live a good life. What do you think? What is the way to live the best life? Is it earthly wisdom? Is it the 401k and, all the right relationships and living in the right place and getting the right amount of, skills? Or is the best life found when we seek godly wisdom like it's buried treasure? All right, guys, stay after it. Hey, call each other, check in on each other, pray for each other. Let's be the church, all right?